Good morning again. Welcome. This is yours truly, Dr. Nancy Miles for GMP. The course is Phil 304. This is 2023. It's the second semester. I'm meeting a student for the makeup session in week 10. Makeup because we are not around in the 10th week, but you need that time for something, for your revision, for your exam modality, and then we would have also discussed the interim assessment that we did last weekend during the last week as part of your preparation towards exam and how you should expect to do your exam. But we will have that time together. It actually isn't a lost time because that time, one of the sessions would have been for your interim assessment in class, really. But we got to do the interim assessment on the weekend. And so we freed that session for ourselves. So we still have it as a free time that I don't want us, even though it's a free time that has been added, I still want us to use it effectively. So we can use that session for our interaction on the interim assessment and the preparation for exam and your questions generally that we would have used to mop up nicely. We'll use that for today so that the regular time for teaching content proper, we won't shift it around. That way, if someone misses it or is not able to play back, then it feels like it's a loss. Okay, so we'll use this session, which is a makeup time for week 10, to do that, the discussions, and still keep it recorded like I'm doing already. I just have to pull it out immediately and share to your course sites, and then those who can pick it and share to others can also do the same. I may even share on the WhatsApp platform as well, just to make sure that we get a good reach and prompt your colleagues. If you are in groups, the rationale for the groups we created is so that we can be each other's keeper. So you can prompt your colleague, look, the lady lecturer put something there, it looks like so and so, we've done so and so, or something is not so and so, that kind of thing, and look out for each other. And we succeed together. Okay, so that is the plan. So Friday, we will substantively engage the democracy paper. I have pointed you to recorded sessions on it. I've pointed you to the course content itself, the Jechi paper, which reconciles to a large extent the two extremes, the Robert Dahl discussion on democracy, which we are very familiar with generally speaking. That is how we have thought of democracy, in practice, whether in politics, economics, philosophy, whatever, the generality of it, government of the people, for the people, by the people. Now, Jechi gives us a traditional, if you like, a certain perspective that has indigenous perspective to it. We are studying the philosophical underpinnings of these theories. So you see that we have to be able to do a reconciliation of the views with the social contractarian conception of democracy, how we should run it. Then look at what has been said by Wolf and Crito and Martin Luther King Jr. on whether we should obey or not obey, and what the legitimacy of that state obedience and what have you is. And here is democracy as a concept in governance, of course, showing us how we should run our system of governance to be able to incorporate all the concerns raised so far in the course, person and the community, the individual supposedly, and the collective in governance. That's what democracy is really doing. Look at what Rousseau's concern is: create a public person out of the particular component individuals. Create a collective whole that you can call us. So when the thing affects the collective sovereign, it affects the particular. And when it affects the particular, it affects the whole. Now, that is the build-up to help address what the libertarian and the communist extremes grounded on what the socialist and the capitalist system, so to speak, are concerned about. So here we are bringing some finality to the actual discourse. After all the conceptualization, how should human society, remember the course is social and political philosophy, philosophizing on society and politics. So inside that, we needed to know the component starting point of the supposed society or politics. Is it the individual behind the veil of ignorance, laws, social contract, state of nature, out of which now evolved the collective, or Charles Taylor's concern that we didn't start from an abstraction, an atomic person detached from society. You see that now is deciding how he or she wants to enter into contract. He says, no, that's a false, a faulty, false starting point, says Taylor. Miles reconciles it and says, perhaps Taylor, you are right and I agree with you, but the language is not helping. How you are speaking doesn't help the people see the point real moderate communitarian personist, Charles Taylor are making. Let's clarify the language so it can help in the conceptualization proper. You see the interconnectedness of the whole discussion. So the democracy thing paper is highlighting some things. We're talking about the version that we have to look out for and how we should organize. And the we here, because it's an African context, we are dealing with, we will indigenize from what we call African. So Jechi's paper helps us do that. Otherwise, it will be all abstraction, no concretization of the philosophizing that we claim we are doing on society and politics. And so the Jechi paper now brings it home and says, how can we practice governance that accommodates and respects and values, and the people can understand, associate with, can feel an attachment to, and therefore will be viable, not something that was thrown at us. And so he goes back in his argumentation to show how traditional way of life expressed some very salient features of what we call a democracy now, which he thinks worked even better perhaps. And therefore we need to have a second look at what we are doing now in the name of democracy and see whether it is really meeting that standard. Now, of course, if you are a reader of Jechi and you see his line of argumentation, he would never advocate for a wholesale return to the past, wholesale. So the discussion we had on that WhatsApp platform, some of you were reading, some contributed. I shared the the, the lady's very succinct argumentation. Okay, that she would say there isn't any rationale for going wholesale to the past. You saw his paper. You would see what Miles does with the cultural identity in a multicultural state, bringing the discourse of the traditional versus the modern. The cheese book tradition and modernity is all about that. He wants you to have a mindset that doesn't want a wholesale return to anything, neither a wholesale adoption of the new. Wholesale means you don't look inside, you just embrace everything. He says no. The standard is what? Critical evaluation. Do a critical reflection by checking how well that value or element augurs well for human well-being, human flourishing. Does it help us to flourish? Whether it is in the past or in the present is not relevant. Look at the tradition inside it. Is a political system okay? Is consensual approach to making decisions a better option than a majoritarian system, which looks at just the ballot box and how many people say, yeah. And he said, no, that's all. You don't care about the minority, even if they are just three. What about what contest? You don't use people as a means to an end. So just in case the minority were even 20%, what they say don't matter at all in the decision making. They just said that is not how traditional way of politicking was done. So he goes there to show us certain features. Now, as you engage the test and look at what the indigenous brings, of course, there are things in the indigenous that were not helpful. It is very loud about them. Some of the system of inheritance, for example, didn't encourage ingenuity, creativity, and what have you. So you are looking at the paper and the heart of it and seeing what he thinks we can bring from our traditional past to enrich how we do democracy now. Perhaps it can help bring some pause, or it can stop this coup d'etat as late as 2022. The year 2022, there are still coups in Africa. As if the people there cannot govern themselves. Could it be some problem with how we are doing what we are doing, perhaps because of wholesale importation of the methods? The thing is not fitting, perhaps because we are not looking at us. We here referring to who? Indigenous person. Does it mean you do not have to hear an alternative view or a way of life outside of your frame? That can't even be correct. Because we are talking about culture, how things are done. It cannot be fixed. It will always depend on borrowing, looking out for the alternative way. How is the West doing it? How is the East doing it? How is Asia doing it? It's fine to look for alternative ways to import new ideas, new systems, new ways of life. But a big but, must it be done without recourse to your local context? How do you do a wholesale adoption like that without alteration to fit? You collect your sister thank you dress from your big sis, very elegant, expensive, quality clothing, no doubt about that. But you don't think you should trim it to your size? How would you look wearing it? It will look awkward on you. You have to look at you. And so the educational system may be imported. The political system, no problem, may have been borrowed. But you have to be concerned about its functionality here. So here could be wherever. And that is what I think as philosophers, thinkers, you should be inspired by. So look out for the key things. There will be problems, no problem, about adopting some of them. The concern is not to run away from the problem, but to engage what can help you adopt those principles that Jechi highlights. And what are the underlying features that ground it so much so that the people feel that Ochimai, say that is a mantra for people at Chims. Chims are a subgroup in Ghana here, whichever version, whether you want to call it ethnic group or tribal group, or they at least the language distinguishes that from Ghana. They say here in say Obi Padia Kokotokwa. Or something like that. If someone Kotoko is Asante, if someone wants to take something to Asante, you don't undermine the person. These are senses of identification, a sense of selfhood. So the collective thinking of themselves as a whole, collectively held will. If that sense of belongingness, if I sense and I feel that I belong as Ga, as Fante, as Ede, Anglo, as Dagomba, Abudu, and Dani, that you can't take it from you. People don't understand that. It is the way the person senses, it feels a sense of belonging. It's not something you go and undermine in the name of creating a whole. You don't force it. Love is not forced. Attract it. Let the allegiance of the people be attracted to the collective whole called Ghana. That is what you should be targeting. You don't force it. So you can't undermine other groupings in the name of making the people feel that we are one Ghana. It's a joke. We can be a whole Ghana. I am incorporate some Miles here, some Daniel Allen kind of thinking. Wholeness, not oneness. You're not one. In the name of creating one, you will create division. Because you will undermine others for us all to look red as one red group of people. No, Ghana is red, gold, green, black. So that the differences shouldn't be the problem. It is how you weld. You create a whole. Wholeness means there are differences within, but all the differences come together to create a package. It's a tapestry. So inside you see some red, some yellow, some green, some black, and it's okay. Some tree, some asante, some fante, some ga, some mampusi, some inzama. It's beautiful. Differences, insofar as they are not ethical and undermining each other, no. But what we advocate for is Sojachi's language, meta nationality, going beyond. And that one is not forced. That's the whole key thing. You have to let the people feel that way. So the person is living maybe because of exigencies of time, work or marriage or something, took them to somewhere, give me some nations, America, Germany, whatever. You see, the person is there, but their heart is Ghanaian. Their heart is Fante. They will come all the way from wherever we have gone to and say, Kwewu, Kwewu, are going back home. The person identifies with. This is perhaps crucial. I say perhaps all the things I'm saying, I'm just giving pointers. So when you read, it can come alive as you are reading the ending. It's not democracy, government of the people, by the people. Who are the people? Which sense of the people is being referenced? Ghanaianness, where people that feel that they are other half, they are the other part of them. They are Ghanaians, but they're also Togolese because they are Ebers. Their family, half of their family is here, the other half is there. They don't see that boundary that was created by colonial invaders has determined where they belong. They see themselves, listen to what I said, essentially, or better still, they consider themselves as family. Look at the Nzima area there, half in Ghana, half in Cote d'Ivoire, by the colonialist line that you used to create. You say we the people. We who? The person thinks that this is not family. This is not people. We speak one language. We practice the same way of life. So you are using the boundary to divide people that see themselves as one. How would they ever owe allegiance to your we, the people that you have created in the name of constitution? You see the problem? So you have to, and I say it's the same at Nigeria, the border there. What therefore a politics here referencing was statehood, not ethnicity or what have you, because that one people don't need any, they feel that way already. If you like, let us tomorrow we are doing it, or let the Gamashi, whatever, say that Allah. He doesn't need to come and do the enforcement himself. The people say it is our thing. They take it. So they owe the sovereignty. Nado says, don't be just what spectators. Nado is the current president of Ghana. Don't be just spectators. Be what? The people. What did he say? I've forgotten the phrase. What did he say? Just in case you are asleep, then wake up.
Be citizens.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Be citizens. I was quoting Rousseau. We saw it in class. Somewhat. Be citizens. And I say nobody has to inspire give me some of the cultural groups we have. Like I keep using the Asante Achim and those because it's very pronounced. They identify like that. They are citizens. You can't talk against the Ga King or the Asante King or something. Open your mouth some angle and talk. The people, see the people I have in mind, those who identify, don't need to even cite them to say be citizens. They are, because they feel, perhaps, they feel that they belong. So there's a psychological attachment, there is an emotional attachment, whether grounded or not, philosophically or logically, it's not the issue. The people feel that way. Go talk about an Arab, you just open your mouth in a certain angle, and you see the whole Arabian contingency will come after you, regardless of where they are located on earth, because you don't buy that, you don't force that. The people feel it. So if people have that sense of attachment, and we needed to build a state now, state political, talking about state now, police as a state, Ghana, Nigeria, especially for pre-colonized, post-colonized contexts like Africa, Western Africa, what have you, where the colonialism affected not just material wealth, but also to a large extent the thinking pattern, the frame, colonial mentality, something that the people themselves must free themselves of. The way you are thinking, you have to do it. You had it in the thing. The person must develop herself. It's not something you go and tell the invader that you have made us think like you. You have to stop it. When the thing benefits that person, your thinking, your policies, your educational system, what is the other thing? The way you are grooming yourself, the upbringing, the values you cherish must not be imposed again by yourself, only mimicking what the invader did. You have become an instrument in the hand of the invader to do what he would have done. Now you have sacked them, physically sacked, mentally more present through you. That is the problem. It's a colonial mindset that says that anything that is from so and so place or comes from so and so is good, regardless. They don't even question it. That is what we are looking at this time in the context of what, how we are doing our democracy, our practicing. What is wrong with having kingship in addition to the ballot box? What will go wrong? UK is giving us an example. Is it not a world democracy? Why won't you reflectively look at your climatic conditions, your population, the cultural values? Culture just means how you do things. It's not the beats and kentikulot or anything. It's one of them. But culture is just expressing how you live. You here referring to the people. If I go to Iceland, I'll dress like how Iceland people dress. Because the ice will kill me if I go with my kabai little kentikulot on my shoulder and go greeting people. Mama, you know I'm here. Mama, you is for some people. Therefore, how you are living must inspire what will be useful, functional. It doesn't mean the thing is not good, but perhaps it's not good for the context we have in mind. See how you have to think? So the cheap paper and the others that Robert Dahl and Robert Dahl just gives the outline that we are very familiar with. That's why it's not our focus. Democracy must have certain skills. You have to engage people. You have to make sure there is representation, blah, blah, blah. All those fine theories are there. The she takes it a step further and says, we have all of them perhaps, but still it's not working. Can there be a certain kind of alienation, detachment from what it is we are using and the people that are using it? Could it be that it's still a propagation of something that it calls for a return? But this return to the past is not a wholesale return to the past, no. A critical return to the past where you open your eyes, shine your eyes, pick what is valuable, because there is a lot in those atavistic values. They are past values, but they are very useful. We may have to pick it and adopt and adapt, just like if we went externally to pick something that is not in our context. We should pick. Don't be myopic. The name of media, we don't want anything more. It's a joke. See my people and cultural identity. You need something in the past, something in the future. What should help you know what to pick and what not to pick? The standard of what human well-being. You see, I'm not projecting any of my slides because you're going to do the presentation of that content yourself, not class presentation with slides and no, it will take a lot of time to do that. But you have to think through and submit a good paper. So I'm not putting anything there. I'm just giving you a good summation and then the practical usefulness of the discussion and still help you connect them to the preceding very fine sessions we've had, social and political philosophy. That is it. Do a critical examination of what he's contributing and see what is useful for now. Someone will say, Doc, but the population now, yes, it's really true. So you can't do direct, consultation. Nana are going to sit in council to discuss whether we want to do a bridge or what. When will we finish? Whose Nana will be the Nana for Ghana, where there is multiplicity of languages? We're doing it in just a kind of Ga or Fanti. The people will see themselves as one. Here, we are multiplicity, so that there should be tact. Should be tactful if you are the one leading. You should be what? Accommodating. There should be time, allow for gradual evolution of sense of belongingness. Don't force it and say because of that we have cut all these things. We don't speak this and this. We are imposing this. Imposition, you have just taken over the colonialists. Okay, so I just did that summation for you. Any question, please? I would like to address it generally on everything we've done. So put yourself in the frame of think of today as the last lecture 10. So on Friday, we'll do our lecture 9 on substantive content, this one. After you have submitted your paper, I'll open it today and then it will be due before the class on Friday. You see that? City Campus, I'll open it today. My time with you is in person, so even if we discuss, main campus people won't have access to the content. Just upload what you read. You see that? I asked you to read on the topic. So what you read, okay, that's all. Rolanda, what's your question, please? Sorry, I can't hear you if you are speaking. I know your mic is unmuted. Rolanda, dear, I can't hear you, please. So, well, I'll keep talking. When you're audible, then you interrupt me. Okay. So that is it. I'll open it today. You will have tomorrow, maybe. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's just to upload. If you don't have anything to upload, it means you didn't do the reading and do the summary like you have been advised to do for every topic. I want you to read, people. It will help you. You will thank me one day. That's why I sometimes tell you look for innovative ways because there is no time. Not for the student, not for the lecturer, not for parents, not for children. The whole place, we are in a hurry. Rolanda,
sorry.
Keep trying.
Yes.
It's better now. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yes, please. I was asking if it's going to be an individual submission or a group submission.
Yes, please. I said so earlier. It's individual because group around this time will be difficult. People are doing IAs. People are still organizing their lives in preparation for exam. We don't want people to pull others back. Okay, so it should be individual. So you can sit in the comfort of your home and do a quick read up. But I will ask specific questions. I won't say critical summary. So people will use artificial intelligence to create a summary for me.
Okay.
So I'll ask you a specific question that will require that you have read. Yeah, thank you, my dear. So just tomorrow in between should be fine. Just to give you time to put it together, then submit a response to the question I'll ask. I'll ask you a specific question on the reading. The same with City Campus. Then you submit before we discuss. Why? So today's own, put yourself in the frame, everyone, of what? Week 10. We are mopping up. I'll do the IE with you shortly. I'm sure everyone has seen their mark for the IE, which was over 20. You did 40 questions. Each was worth 0.5 marks. Very easy. Please, have you seen your marks for the interim assessment? Maybe I've not released something. Then I'll show you. Or in your group, I just released the mark. I wanted to fill all of you. But that is all the record. I wanted to fail you. So I read the thing again. The one who submitted, you had a mark. You had a mark because it was the submission I looked at. And so that's what I do. Then I share it. When I look at it, the 41% is too much. I know you understand. I'm speaking figuratively now. But I had to do a second relook and then. So the mark has now been released to every member of the group 26. You should see yours now. All the others, you saw my love letter on your platform. Private to us. I don't want that. Okay. So we have resolved many of them. The last one I resolved yesterday. So we are good to go. If you've seen your mark for the IE, we are going to look at it just in case you have doubts. How did I get this? I mean, but all the questions are answered. Then we check it together. Maybe I have a problem. Then we'll see. We'll look at it shortly. So that one, and then the exam modalities, 5 questions. I'm thinking you answer any two. I was thinking of a compulsion, but I think that I have to. I'll rethink it. I don't think compulsion. If it's compulsory, to be the one that is accessible to you per my estimation of the class, then you will answer. Read. Because you may think that, if your question comes on so and so topic, that's the one out. You don't know how the question will be like. Sometimes when students pick some exam questions, you can tell that they had learned only that topic very well because they know that by all means there will be questions on many or most of the topics. And so they plan by reading only 2 or 3 of the topics. So they haven't done a good job with the content. Then the one they punched and studied, the question that comes from it and how it is asked, you don't know. And yet they don't have options. We don't want half-baked graduates. Okay, you will be deciding for the nation internationally. Very soon, you will be shocked. This is level 300 second semester. You have a final year, and then you are done. And after your first degree, even in our part of the world here, you will see that you'll be applying for things, are placing you here. Now you are supposed to be a chief director or something for something. You are making decisions and you have no clue. Yet you have gone through University of Ghana. You don't want that. So to read. Thank you. I'll go quickly to the course site for us to do have a look at our term assessment together. Whilst I do that, please ask me any questions you may have. I want to address them. Should have been asking for a while now. Don't want to move quickly into something. I see a hand up. Please go ahead with your question.
Doc, good morning. I'm in City Campus and I've lost my grade content manifesting the group work.
Which one? Which group is this, please?
Group 10. I'm in group 10.
Oh, but I dealt with all your group issues last week. Were you in class last week online?
I was having network issues last week.
Oh, no, answer the question. Were you in class last week online, sir? Respectfully.
I was in class.
Then you would have addressed that, because with the whole session, over 1 hour, where I was using that to mop up.
I was having network issues.
Network issues for 1 hour, say. 1 hour, you were having network issues for 1 hour.
Yes, I was using the school's one, and it wasn't connecting. It wasn't connecting at all.
So were you in class or you were not in class?
I was in class.
And you didn't let me address that concern. I offer. Okay. Let us discuss the I. Okay. Jarvis, Ankuma, go ahead with your question.
Okay, Doc, please, on Judge's paper, are we to read only chapter 4?
Oh, I've given you a reference on the course outline. And Kwame, if you sent me an email, I responded to your email. Okay. So you have a response from me already. Jarvis, look at the screen now. I want to project. It's the same thing you see on both campuses. So let's go to, where is the overview?
Oh, okay.
The overview has disappeared there. I wanted to go to the overview to show you what we have there. I gave you that chapter. Yeah. So what the course outline says is what you should use. That's all. It gave you chapter 4. This is the course outline. Yeah. This is the course outline. I can get it from the resource. So everyone look at it, please. Share that. Traditional something. That's what we are interested in. As I do Jarvis's thing, do you have any question? Any other further question? Please raise your hand if you do. I'm on another window now, so if your hand is raised, just unmute and ask your question. I don't think there are many of us. So it shouldn't be a problem. If you have raised your hand, unmute and ask, please. Once I open this, I'm on another window now, so I don't see that screen immediately. Any question? Nana Kwame, what was the problem with your group 10 that you were trying to put? You said you didn't see what?
Doc, please, I didn't see my grade for the group work and the manifesto.
Did your group leader put your name in as a participant? In other words, did you include your name as a participant of that work, sir?
Yes. It's on the work.
On the work that was submitted on Sakai, yet I didn't grade you. Is that what you are saying? Hey, let me to have a problem, pal. Come, let me go and see it. The thing is my problem now. It says group 10, eh? Jarvis, I'm opening your thing. The thing hasn't opened. That's why we are delaying now. I'm waiting for it to open for you. And I'll project that for everyone to see. Yeah. Nana Kwame is City Campus Group 10. He says, I didn't want us to have to do that, but we can spare 1 minute on that. So let's go. Okay. So here is City Campus site. We go to assignment. Okay, these are the assignment. I don't have any unmarked thing. So possibly it's a matter of mark but not released. Let's check. Which one is it, sir? It said on King and Crito, right? Nana Kwame.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we go there. Let's go and see what is happening there. While at it, I think Jarvis's thing is also opened, and it's the chapter 4 I gave you in the course outline. So I guess that is a yes to your question.
Okay, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. The recording, I keep referring to the recording because I think we had a very lovely discussion on that thing. It is there at your resource too. I even want to play it back myself to see some of the season. That class was a very active class comparatively. So I think it was good. It's on at the academic channel. Just find the field 304 and then look at Chechi, and I think I would have labeled it as Chechi democracy or so. This is what, yeah, because I see it. Our current screen now will show you what Jarvis needs, which I suspect others too would, but they didn't ask. So I'm taking time to go there for you to see it. This is your course outline. It's nothing new. This is at your resource too. I pulled it from there. Try to get one. So you have seen all these, have it already. The course syllabus, learning outcomes, method of instruction, which you must remember all the time. Class discussion, small group work, small presentations for students, library work, general research. You have a huge task there yourself. We have done our IA, we have done the 10% take home assignment. We have done some presentation. We participated in class a lot. All will go into your assessment. Okay. The grading scale is here. You know all that. Required readings that I gave you. Taylor's Atomism, Miles's Personalism. It's an online link. Steba on multiculturalism, what have you. See, all these were there. Then the specific authors that we studied. The authority of the state, we looked at Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, seminal texts. You don't have to struggle to get them at all. Then for the relation between the individual and the human person, we did Taylor and Miles specifically. So the first set were the general texts we were dealing with. Here, I put them under topics so you can easily see what we are doing for what. Then for should I obey the state, we did Plato, Crito, okay, and then Martin Luther King Jr., and then Wolf in defense of anarchism. We've seen all those texts. Then social economic justice, that theme, when we're doing that theme, we looked at Karl Marx, Hospes, and John Rawls is supposed to reconcile all. That's the discussion we had last week, Friday, and then Thursday, both online, I think. How's you prepared for I as well? We saw the behind the veil of ignorance, the original position, the two senses, or the two requirement principles, and again Rawls's justice as fairness. We saw all that. See, okay, so you know Hospes Libertarian Manifesto, Marx and Engels, the Communist Manifesto, and then Rawls's theory. They were the fourth theme. The last theme of the lectures is what the concept and practice of democracy. That's Robert Dahl at the top there. I kept referencing it. Look at the second one. Tradition and Modernity, the book. Philosophical reflections on the African experience. And we are focusing on the chapter 4, which talks about, I have it here. The tradition and modernity is always with us. Anyone who doesn't know that text hasn't done. philosophy in Africa, not just Ghana. Yeah. The title proper is the traditional political ideas, values, and practices. It's a big chapter. That's why I gave you an overview in my presentation so that it can guide how you are reading. It's a very big chapter, a 2-page chapter. But if I asked you what similarities you find in the traditional, political system as Jechi presents it, with Uzo's picture of how democracy should be done. Do you see any similarities or differences? What do you think then is lacking in our current modern way, quote unquote? Modern just means new, not any qualitative thing, but new, the different way they're doing it now compared to the traditional way as it plays with what Uzo. If I ask you that, you should be able to answer things like that. So say yes, that's the answer. And then Joseph says the challenge of sustaining democracy. So you see that those two other texts are pulled together into Jechi's. Jechi's contribution is telling you that it can help us deal with challenges that current emerging democracies are having. That's what Joseph says concern is. And then Robert Dahl actually takes the concept of democracy proper on democracy, what it is, how it should be done, what counts as a non-democracy, why we prefer democracy to alternatives. He's doing the generic. Jechi now reconcile. So the focus for the last stream of lectures is the Jechi paper, just as the focus for the last but one was the Rawls paper, which pulls the other two together, Hospice and the others together. The focus for this one is Wolf, in defense of anarchism. He's trying to pull the two extremes together. Those who are saying respect the law and obey it regardless. Others who say no, it has to be just law before. If it's not a just law, don't. That's so Wolf then brings argumentation, I think, to reconcile the two. And then the relation between the individual and human society. Both authors are actually reconciling two extremes. So it seems like they're doing the same thing. Taylor says, individualists, communitarians, why go the extremes? No. You can't talk about a human being as if she's detached from society, blah, blah, blah. So that's what Taylor is doing, trying to give a rendition of an understanding of the human being as social in nature. He takes from Aristotle and the others, remember that text. But ultimately says the human person will still have individuality and what have you, just that you cannot take that as a starting point, atomism, otherwise you'll be atomistic. Miles comes to add to that discussion and says, what you're saying is fine, just correct the language. If you call the human person an individual, you already make individuality that which defines the human person. When you finish, you don't understand why the people have detached human persons from their communality, not from the community, because human persons are not molded from just a particular community. No, you are a complex blend of individuality, that's freedoms, autonomy, what have you, and communality. Communality can be interrelatedness, different levels, different degrees of belongingness. Okay, so that is that. And then the first set, you know already, Hobbes and Poe. I think that you are properly focused. The Jarvis or Jarvis. There was a jar.
Please, Jarvis.
Forgive me, Jarvis. Thank you. I hope that helped. It will also help others as we move. Now I'll quickly go to you. Let me go to my friend who will not let me have peace. If I bash him aside too, his heart will be broken. And I don't want any heart broken. If it's broken for the right reasons, that one, I'm happy. Say, I'm projecting group 10 now. Sorry if your group is showing. I didn't intend to. This is group 10. I'm being accused of not grading someone's work when he was included. Please, these are the group 10 members. Say, Kwame, please, what's your name?
Frimpong Kwame.
Oh, but and this is look at it. This is group work on King and Quito. Say, see, look at it.
Yeah.
But you have a mark there, and it's released to you. I don't know what you are complaining about now, Wofa.
Madam, and the manifesto.
Masa. Listen to me.
I didn't that one.
Hey, people, aren't you my witnesses? The brother said group work on King and Crypto. You saw me open it. The thing is open, it's graded. Now he said it's not that one, it's which one? Say, you can use the whole class to check your AU. The thing is there. What's the other one that you say is not there?
The manifesto.
What is the manifesto? Individual one or group work manifesto?
The group one.
Did was your name included in it? If it wasn't included, don't delay us. So say, who is your leader? Or who sent it for the group to my mail?
Yes, please.
That one was sent to my mail. Please, who sent it? Very quickly, say, because others are getting impatient.
I can't expect anywhere like.
Who sent it? Can you give a straight answer? Don't go roundabout because you've made us waste time. We came here, there's no problem here. Who sent it for the group 10? Very quickly. You see, you don't know who sent it.
It was Samuel Brown. Samuel Brown. Sorry.
Samuel Brown, please, are you here? Very quickly, please, Samuel. Samuel Kofi Brown, please, are you here? Papa Samuel, please, are you here? Let's hurry up. You let us go round. If I brush it aside, people say I didn't mind it, rather. Everyone bear with him for a minute because I don't want to go anything revising gradings again. I've dealt with all of them. Let me attend to the grown-ups, the babies. Now you are grown. I have hundreds and 200s, some long essays and stuff that I have to deal with. So I want to finish up my work on this. Nana Kofi Brown, I see your name there. And you said you didn't get graded. I just checked my email. I have you there.
Please, he said he's having network issues. He said sent me a text on WhatsApp.
No. Please don't tell me network issues. So that thing, what students say, they think that it is something we should clap for them. When you are going to write and your pen is not writing at the exam hall, is it an examiner's issue? When you know that you use pen to write, you know that you engage online. Then from start till now, you say it's network issue. If you say, oh, it's a makeup class, I have another class or have another engagement, that's fine. But don't tell me it's network issue and be proud about it. Okay. I think I can try for the last time to check that one too. If I check, I'll move on. Group work or manifestos, you say. So I go to group work or manifestos or group 10. Please, everyone, just some few minutes more, bear with me. If I put it down and the email comes, I will not change anything. People should be serious, that's all. So we want to be sure it's not an error here. Oh, okay, so this is it. Everybody's own is graded. Why it says that I have not graded yours is what I'm trying to interrogate. So I can look at it later, but at least that is established. You don't have a mark for it. Did you do on both for libertarian and the communist? Did he put your name on it? We'll check and then confirm that. If I check and it is there, I'll just
yes, please.
give you the mark. But there has to be a reason why yours was not graded. Everyone's own is graded and released. You can see it there. Okay, so let's go to the IA now. At least I've made a note of that. I'll look at what they sent. It was sent to my email. So I looked at the names on it after I created the work and then gave marks. Let's look at your IA now. Any questions on the IA? That's where we finish up for today. Let me take any questions that you had on the IA very quickly, please. Should I show your marks or you don't want your marks showing? I can project it for you to see.
No, please.
Why? The people who or the
Please
greater.
show it.
I'm almost showing, but I'm coming. As you said, dog, please show it. I think she did well. If you didn't do well, will you like it? Okay, so we are almost done. I'll show. Yeah. Great. Okay, so now I can project it. Good. Let me project and let's start. If you will read for us, please raise your hand very quickly. Right after this, then we are done. I'll save the recording and share. Anyone who wants to read, could you kindly raise your hand for me? What does Charles Taylor fault the atomist for? Please raise your hand if you want to read for us. And I can also take a little breath. Oh, nobody wants to read. Or your network is slow. When you raise your hand, it takes a while before I see that. Yo, I see Abigail's hand. Who else? We are going to read 40 questions. Michelle, any other, please? Okay. I think the general performance was very okay for me. Of course, there will be remnants of Israel. You say you don't want me to project. You'll be shocked at some of your friends and the answers they gave. So question 1 is what I've projected now. What does Charles Taylor fault atomist for? Fault the atomist. What does he find wrong with the view that he has labeled as atomism? That's what we see there. Their emphasis on what? Rights to the disregard of belongingness. He faults them for that. They said they emphasize rights. They don't emphasize a sense of belonging. 2, their argument of what? Primacy of rights. Yes, that one he faults them for. So the answer is all the options are correct. Look at the D, the instrumental view of community. They think, yeah, I didn't add that one. They think of community as in instrumental terms. It is valuable insofar as it benefits the individual. So they make community important only insofar as it benefits the individual. That is what the atomist does. They don't make community valuable in itself. 2, what does Charles Taylor fault the atomist for? So someone, so it's the same question. It's not the same question. Look at it. Look at the answers. You see that the answer has changed. So if someone is stepping and say, oh, the atomist one, the atomist one, the answer is the instrumental view. There are about 4 of such. And you all had the same set of questions. Just randomized different. That's 40 of them. Just in case someone is contemplating me, the kind of question that came to me, wow, the same set. Okay. So Abigail, to please read for me now, then others can continue. Thank you all. This is the question, the second question now.
Okay. What does Charles Taylor fault the atomist for? A, the emphasis on rights to the disregard of belonging. B, the argument of primacy of rights. C, all the options are correct. And D, the instrumental view of the community.
Very good. So the answer is obvious. Okay. That's the one I read earlier. Then the question 2 here, again, it's as if we are faulting. It's as if we are faulting the atomist in the same way, but it is not. Here, the atomist disregard for rights. B, the atomist emphasis on community. The atomist doesn't disregard rights, but they emphasize rights. The atomist emphasis on community. It's a lie. They don't emphasize community. So Taylor couldn't be faulting them for emphasizing community. That's not what we are looking for. And so all the options are not correct. So it can be C. Answer is the atomist's instrumental view of communities, what Taylor faults the atomist for. Look at the options here to tell you that they are not the same questions. Mouse's pessimism stresses that the communitarianism, individualism, disagreement is fundamentally linguistic. Yes, that's true. She doesn't say their debate is fundamentally deontological. Do you know deontology? No, neither does she say they are fundamentally metaphysical. It's a lie. So all the options do not describe Mouse's pessimism. Okay, my lady, please read the next one. I've read one. I also continue.
Okay. The distinctive emphasis of the pessimist thesis discussed is that A. Both communitarianism and individualism are saying the same thing about the human person. B. A person's rights should be respected. C. The human person is at once both individual and community necessarily. D. Community is the call of personhood.
Very good. So the answer is there. Does anyone have a question with this? I think that will also make us advance. Well, if someone has a part or an A for clarity, maybe you are right, then we can include that in the answers. Very quickly, please do. Anybody? That is a hand up. If you do, please unmute and ask, because our hands have to read. And we are not many, it's fine. Okay. If there is Jane, sister, please do the last reading here, then someone else will take over for me.
The divine rule of right summarizes A. Locke's social contract theory. Madam, please, I can't see.
Oh, I didn't see that. Have you read this one? This is different from the question 4. This is question 5 now. So read question 5.
Mouse's personism argues that A. It is a problematic to label the person as the individual. B. The communitarianism-individualism disagreement is fundamentally linguistic. C. The human person is a being with dimensions of both individuality and communality. D. All the given options are arguments of Mouse's personism.
I hope everyone agrees with that. If you don't, please raise your hand. And not that you don't agree, maybe you have a question or you seek clarification. Because as we do this, I think you are doing a good revision of the content paper where you write essays on. So you have to make sure your conceptualization is right around them. Okay. I'll take Kwate and Gertrude now. I'll Samuel Tai and Abigail Afo and Michelle stand back. Thank you so much, Abigail. Go ahead, Passion.
The divine right of rule summarizes A. Locke's social contract theory. B. Rousseau's social contract theory. C. None of the options is correct. D. Hobbes' social contract theory.
So we can all see that it is so Hobbes' social contract. Are we correct? The person feels that they have a divine right to rule. They have a right to rule. Divinely given. That's Hobbes. So that's why it's unquestioned. But if we were to turn it, even before we get there, if we were to turn it to say divine rule of right, then that would have been Lockean. So take note of that now, in case I ask you a lesson around that. In case I said, I don't know what I'm still polishing up my questions. Okay, now we can go to the next one. Get with please.
Locke's social contract theory can be summarized as A. Divine rule of right. B. Divine right of rule. C. Both options are correct.
Very good. How many of you got that correct? Okay. Some don't know if they got it correct. So we will see. I said, let me do this. Let me project your answers. Say no.
Madam, no.
Your both social contract theory can be summarized as this. You see that? Then the next question says the divine rule of rights summarizes whose social contract. See, that is the same question asked differently. So when it is randomizing, someone could have this one before the other and say, the answer, I didn't answer and who? Any a bad yes man that quarrels with the two. When we finish or when I project it, that's why I'm discussing it. This is recording. Okay. Now, if there's no question on it, so divine rule of right is actually Locke's thing. You can see that. See this one, the social contract theories have been criticized for being what? For emphasizing right to the disregard of belonging. This criticism is coming from Taylor and others like him. All those who criticize individualism of a kind, some way, somehow, through, a national art contractarian. Even Rawls has suffered same because he talks about behind the veil of ignorance, where you can make decisions and on the assumption that you are detached from society. That is contractarian in a kind, of a kind, sorry, because it makes you assume that the person can decide rightly, correctly, what should be done when he or she thinks of himself as detached from society. How do you make such a decision without having a connectedness? We discussed all that last Friday, okay? So social contract theories have been criticized for emphasizing rights, the disregard of belongingness or belonging. Sister, please read this one too.
The social contract theories have been criticized as being A. The primacy of rights thesis, B. Personist thesis, C. Communitarian thesis, D. Commonwealth thesis.
So, who chose Commonwealth thesis? I think Commonwealth. I can check. Can we check only that one?
Yes.
Let's go and test question.
Yes,
Yes. Take us a while, but I'm interested.
Yes.
Look, my lady, wait for me for a while. Mami, go ahead. We can find out. Easy cry. Let me stop sharing those so that we don't display people's idea all over the place. We'll come back. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I want to see if anyone chose Commonwealth. Hey, let's have a tattoo. Vandals, Papa. You am coming. Okay, so I'll go to the question set, then I'll pull the Commonwealth one. Any questions whilst we do that? Just to see. Hey, people's heart. Someone's heart is cutting. My friend will say, is your heart cutting?
Yes.
Okay. Don't worry.
No.
We'll find out shortly. My lady, what question was that? Well, on question what? Do you remember?
No.
Okay, no problem. I'll search. I think it should be question 9 also. They are mixed up, so this is one randomization of it. I'll find it. I'm patient. It was question 7.
Question 10.
Question 10. But my question 10 here
Yes.
on the main pool is not that one. So it means it's so mixed up. That's what randomization does. I'll find it. Don't worry. We have to see how people answer it. Hey, the person is praying power. The thing has gone far away. I've gone through 7 already. I still haven't found it. Okay, there's a way to do it. Let me see. Okay, let us project it this way from my pool directly, other than the preview. Okay, I'm sharing this. Someone's prayer has worked. The way it is, it will take too much time. The thing will be very lengthy. Okay, so I'm projecting this. We have seen this one. This is my question 1 in my original pool. We've seen what does Charles Taylor call the atomic force, so we know that. Then question 2, we saw this. This question 2, what does he fault them for? Again, the other version of it, we've seen that also. Then question 3, Mouse's pessimism, we've seen that. Question 4, the distinctive emphasis of the pessimist thesis discussed is that, this one we haven't seen yet, the human person is at once both communal and individual necessarily. That's the distinctive thing. What distinguishes that version of the debate from moderate communitarianism and the others. Mouse's pessimism argues that this one, we've seen it, all the 3 versions, all the 3 points of emphasis we have seen. The divine right of rule, we've seen it also, question 6. Let's see question 7. Question 7, Locke's social contract theory, we have seen that. Question 8, when we see the question we are looking for, we'll go down and look at how people answer. This is the divine rule of rights. Then question 9. Yeah, how we have criticized the social contract theory. I told you Taylor has spearheaded that. Others too. All those who criticize individualism and that. Yeah. Question 10. Social contract theories have been criticized as being primacy of rights thesis. That's correct. Then question 11.
Madam, question.
Sorry. My dear, you had a question. Please ask me. Yes. Can I go back to a question?
Yes, I think question
Which
10.
one? Don't worry. Which one?
That was,
question 10.
That was
what
we
we
were
are
on.
looking for.
Does it talk about the Commonwealth? It's question 10, eh?
Please.
Yeah.
Yes, question 10.
Thank you. Now we know the answer. Can we go through?
Yes.
Let's see. Okay. Video tomorrow. See come what? You see come what? Oh no, this communitarian. See come what? See,
come on.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that? Come on. See come what?
Yes.
Yeah, they come what? If I came to tell you, you say I'm lying. This one, I say I'll project. See come what? You see? You see how these things work? I'm looking for a last come out. If I see a last, come on. Come on, doing a boy. Is it come out?
Come on to live the nations.
If I told you, you would say I'm lying. Is it come on?
Come on, what games?
Yeah, come on, games. Say you see it now. This is city campus. Do you want me to go to main campus? No, it's enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
That one.
It's okay. Let's continue. So question 11. I'll not go down there. I just wanted that one. I was interested. Now question 11. For Hobbes, a Leviathan rule that order continues human survival. The answer we are looking is ensures. It doesn't require it. According to Hobbes, if we go for a Leviathan rule, it will ensure, it will make sure that will help us to continue to survive. Remember, he says, in the state of nature, life is short, solitary, brutish, and short and poor. It's short. Life is short there. So, to prevent such short life, if we want to prolong continuous human survival, then we have to go for a Leviathan rule. And so it is to ensure it. That's the word. It doesn't require a Leviathan rule. Say, perhaps a Leviathan rule requires continued human survival. No. You see how there is antecedent and consequent kind of relation, so it ensures it. Very good question 12. I want to run now, so let me hurry up. I have another class. This was a squeezed time for people. Which of the given options best describe Hobbes' state of war? We know. I said none of the options correctly describes his state of war. Look at it very well. None. It's not divine, it's not actual, it's not certain. Yes, for Hobbes, the state of war.
It's potential.
It's potential. Hypothetical.
Yeah. I'll look at the next one. Someone might choose divine. He hasn't said that God has a divinely ordained war. That is not even actual. You get it? What I like the reaction from someone say, that's what I'm doing. That's what I want this to do for you, to help you think too, because that thinking will show when you are writing the essay. So you have to have understanding of the concept, then it will show in the write-ups. Okay. The state of war for Locke can best be described as potential. It's potentially a state of war of all against all. It's not actual. 13, 14. According to Dodo, the state of nature is a state of liberty, yet not a state of license. Jaris, just in case you made it to this class, main campus lady Jaris. I don't know, there's another Jaris. You see the question you asked. So when you asked me on WhatsApp, I didn't answer. Because if I did and it was so close, it would look like I've given you an answer to the question. The time was so close. But when you asked it in the class setting online, I responded. Even the response, I didn't give you an answer. I made the class and yourselves answer because it was going to come. Yes, that is Locke. It's a state of liberty, not a state of license. Very good. So that one is not contentious. 14. Still have a long way to go. We'll go, don't worry. 15. Hey, who will go and buy kenke for me? I want to eat kenke before my next class. Yesterday. I did not know me as that. Chenamne impatwa. I want to impatwa. 15. For Martin Luther King Jr., civil disobedience is unconditional. Is it true?
It's
No,
false.
that's not true.
No, false.
It's false. It's a conditional matter. There has to be certain conditions that will warrant and justify civil disobedience. Not that you don't obey any law. So name when disobedience and
That's the English.
Then which of the following is not one of the 4 basic steps advocated for by Martin Luther King Jr. in embarking on non-violent campaign? 1. Look at it very well before you choose, because if you choose any of those 3 preceding options, it's wrong. He didn't advocate for self-negotiation. This one I want to go and check.
Madam, check.
Yes,
Yes,
oh.
madam,
And
go and
check.
check.
Yes,
No,
oh.
let's get it first before we go and check. Self-purification, yes, but not self-negotiation. Self-denial, I suspect people who choose self-denial. You know, those moralists, you have to deny yourself and embark on. Charlie, let's go. Self-denial, never how does it? I told you, self-denial. Oh, people they do, hey, self-denial. You see, self-denial. You see, hey, self-negotiation. You're in negotiation with yourself. Hey, self-denial. Hey, self-denial. Hey, self-stimulation. So what? Oh dear. And then Kwame, it's you. Self-denial. No. Okay, so now you know that the thing there was the first step, establish that there are facts. 2, negotiate. 3, purify yourself. So it's self-purification. Then if after that you still think the error hasn't gone, then you do what? You embark on a non-violent campaign. So those are the steps. Yes, now you know. You will need it for your SSO. So be focused on that. That's why MCQs. That is why sometimes they are tricky. They can mess you up big time. Especially if you don't have an answer before you go and look at the options. My MCQ. If you are going to look at the options, you must have an answer in your mind before. But if you go and look at the answers, they will be all so nicely packaged that you you would think, it will confuse you. You must know what you want and then go and look for it in the pile. So Rousseau objects to, what does he object to? The will of all. Yeah. Because the general will there, it is the same as the collectively held will. What makes us all identify as a collective self? Though we are many, we are one body. You see, we are many, yet we are one body. Yeah, that thinking. So there is difference, yet one. That oneness will be healthier than oneness that is looking for homogeneity. That's why instead of saying oneness, because it can be abused, say wholeness. Ghana should aspire to being a whole, collective whole. So there are differences, yet we all come together to fit into a wholesome entity. Now, so Rousseau doesn't object to the will of all. No, he objects, doesn't agree to the will of all. The will of all is the sum of it, calculation, what we do, majority. How many people said it? Then we use a hand, then we count one. No, he says no. It should be something, a will, position, like the national agenda that we all are working towards, whether we are Ga or Fanti or ever, female, male, academic, non-academic, regardless of status and language you speak. Collectively, we hold on to that will. See, that's what he says is healthy. Not how many people agree to this one. That's the will of all. So you're counting all the people that said what? He doesn't support that. He wants a collectively held will. So the will is one. The people are many, but they identify as one. So they share in it. This is very crucial in the Jechichen when you see it. Okay. I think that influences the sense of attachment and allegiance that makes democracy the government of we, the people. There has to be a we whose democracy we are practicing, not an imposed one. Your autonomy for Robert Paul Wolff is not forfeited. When what? You haven't forfeited your autonomy. You haven't given it away when you self-legislate. So while we are running my and we are autonomous. Call fame how here. The banyo kagashi, you're autonomous. Say I'm running my wala one. Not share the self-autonomy. Autonomy adu. Yeah. That's the one I know in it. I beg. I'm learning now and then now go there. Now go there. TZ. Tools are. Listen, self-legislation is what makes you autonomous. And we explained that self-legislation doesn't mean you will not take instruction from somewhere, but you take the instruction because you see it to be valid for yourself. You yourself, you see that the thing is valid. So it's not who is giving you the instruction. No, you do the thing because it is right. So you are accountable for obeying the instruction because you saw validity in it. That is why the instruction is not good. You don't have to obey it. And so autonomy doesn't necessarily mean anarchism. I've answered 2 or 3 other questions that I put in the pool. This is not a very big pool. Okay. And everyone saw a set of questions. So no one should say, I think it's a pool. Sometimes this particular assessment I give. In the past, I can create 600 plus, then it will randomize. This one I didn't do it that way. It was just one app. And the essence is really to groom you and to polish up what we have discussed to help you. So the questions are targeted. And that's why we are discussing it. The answer is gone. Do not take responsibility for it. If you do not take responsibility for your actions and inactions, whatever. Okay, let's move. Don't go down. This one I don't have to go down, I have to go sideways. 19. For Wolf, all human beings are autonomous and therefore ought to take responsibility for their actions and inactions. Is that true or false?
It's false.
Why? I thought my answer was wrong.
Because of all human
Okay,
beings.
so it's false because
What about all human
humans,
beings?
Yeah, all humans, including children, little
Well
children
done.
that Paul Wolf argued that they
Well
have
done.
passive
Yes, you are so right. Don't go further.
autonomy, and
You have
also
hit it.
mad men.
Yes, they're also human beings. So people who are not close readers, they don't read closely. They are just flippant. As I let you going, you get it wrong. Yes. And it is not very difficult. It's just being detail inclined. The person says, oh, should we go and check quickly? I won't let you say, hey, see them. Hey, this one is true or false. See, every time you see cross, see, hey, you see? Did you see what happened? Hey. See how many people got it wrong? Yeah. I want you to read well. Lawyer, they give you the document. I am not learned, so I bring it to you to help me. You are the legal luminary. I pay you big money. Look at the contract I'm signing with this man over the property over there. You do flippant reading like this and let me go and buy it. What happened? The minister of so and so and so, you are going to do so and so contract and agreement for so and so. You for read the thing, read them. Take your time, be patient. Patience doesn't mean slow. You can be very fast and a patient reader. How do we grade those thousands of essays that you give us? How did I catch a plagiarism that I don't want to mention even in the recording for your level? How did I catch it? You think I just put marks there? I have graded all your individual in-class manifestos myself by the grace of God in days. Some even had 2 submissions. They think I've not seen it. They submitted 2 papers. One person, you have 2 IDs. One is blank, the other one has something on it. I just took it that for the blank one, maybe the person mistakenly added a paper. But the other one, he has 2 submissions. You are 1. The submissions are 2. Why? The other person, no ID, wrong ID. I asked on the platform for main campus, because the ID doesn't exist. They are not 10 in number. And sometimes people do that in answer booklets. So you have to go to the 3rd page or something before you get the correct ID. answer booklets don't have names. You are just getting a 0 for something you know because of impatience. And I said, when we say be patient, it doesn't mean be slow. It can be very smart, calculated, and yet you are very detail inclined. It doesn't come cheap. You have to train yourself for that. It's a training. Into who kind of dinner? The person says, Wolf says all human beings are autonomous. Hey, the guy really emphasized autonomy. Hey, autonomy for him. I mean, when we discuss it in class, Masa, look at what they said. All human beings. Is that what he said? No. Paragraph 2 of that paper. He had already clarified that it can't include human beings of a certain type, children and mad people, referencing the discussion that has gone on in philosophy. Even Plato had to react to the same thing when he talks of rationality and innate ideas. Locke and others like him critique him for that. What about children and mad people? So that debate is prevalent already. Now we ask you, see the number of people who say true. See, you think it's a joke? See, when I want you to get the answer correct. Okay, so we have learned our lessons now. Let's add it. 20. Don't worry about the marks. Let me do the examination. I am the examiner by the grace of God. And I'm the one grading. I know what I'm looking for and how I'm checking. So it's not so much the correct or wrong. It's the skill, the quality. When we finish, we'll do the grading. That's for grading. University says 0 to 44. They are all the same salary. The value are the same. So if someone gets 0, he didn't do anything in the course. He didn't even come for lectures. When they asked him, what is your name? He said, I forgot. So he goes there. Plus you, you the person who got 44. Grading is another matter. The university says all of them stand on the same scale. That's pathetic. That's almost scary. Yeah. And then if you get 80, that means you got 20 wrongs. You did something, about 20 things wrongly, if each was for 1 month. And someone did nothing wrong, perfect. You are allowed to make 20 wrongs and still be graded. Grouped. Grading means you group them, you shift people to belong somewhere. They are all to be graded as A. That's why you should be at peace. Let me do the grading. I'm trained for that. I have that qualification. So don't worry about I got 3 or 4 or 5. Just go through the process because when I finish, I will grade. I'll be alive by the grace of God. I don't like it when you get wrongs like that type. It's not good. In which of the following, according to Wolf, are children and madmen exempt? Not in being fully responsible, not in having full responsibility. If you compare the other answers, that's what you should do. Not in asking for full responsibility. It is in what? Taking it. They don't have the capacity to take responsibility for what they did. The baby's leg hits the feeding bottle, and you are going to be the baby. Who put the feeding bottle in the court, in the baby's court? Who did it? That person should take responsibility, not the child. A baby, for that matter. Why? Is the baby not a human being? She's a human being. But why are you not holding her responsible? I can hold her responsible, but she cannot take responsibility. See the difference? When God tells you, the church folks and the Bible folks amongst us, when they say, the one who causes a hindrance for the little child, you think he's talking physical little child? Those who just got, believed, they are little. So their faith is not strong yet. If you cause them a hindrance, your life is worse than, this is coming from Jesus, than the one that they put the nail around the neck and thrown into the sea. Do you know what it means? The person is now taking steps. Allow them space. They are the people who get a lot of goodies. Sometimes their testimonies say, if you are a grown person of faith, they are getting jealous, like the prodigal son's brother. Say, hey, I've been here all this while, so God doesn't know that I need job. This aid that people are getting, maybe every day, no, not father. Father, there's no, but maybe every day, Baba cat, BNC. Then this person just converts and everything seems to be good because they need that to grow. Don't hold them account. They sense when they come the next day testimony. He's still growing. You have inheritance. Theirs is growth. You don't know the difference. So they told the son, Whatever I have is already yours. The other son that is at home. You don't understand what I'm doing. I'm a father. This one was lost. He just came. This is party to welcome you. He doesn't have inheritance. He must work for inheritance. You are matured. What am I saying with all this? Maturity? Autonomy is an expression of maturity. So someone had to exercise their autonomy. That's why there was the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the tree of life. Choose. You are going to choose something, as Abi says, it's not me, the woman you put there. You don't want to be autonomous, baby. Then you can't be in a garden that is reserved for people to be in charge. You can't be in charge. We don't know how to make choices. That's what autonomy is doing. So babies, excuse me, mad folks cannot take responsibility. It's taking responsibility that is difficult. So if you're a grown brother and every day you're going to ask mommy, what should I give? Should I give my wife chop money 10 cities or 5? You are a baby. You don't deserve a wife. Marriage is for man and woman, not boy and girl, for babies. Have a rating. Okay, if you are blaming the university for giving you a certain course, and because of that, I mean, you're not making choices, you're still a baby. For me to change a grade. To change a grade. University. When you finish, you go and become minister for someone. Not this class. This class is polished. I'm just giving you raw material that you can use. The thinking is sick. Autonomy means you take responsibility. That's why you must make reasoned moral choices, not just rationality, but rationality that is inspired by what? Morality or rightness and wrongness. It took from Kant. Okay, so I use that one to help you remember. Look at King. This one we've done already. So you know I can move on. My special student, just in case one of you is on the 4 steps, the same thing. Okay. 22, we'll see who. Okay, 22 talks again about King, Martin Luther King. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. That is the correct one. The thing that is affecting one directly is a quote. It affects everyone indirectly. Some bombs are being thrown onto some people in certain parts of the world now. Directly. They are suffering the direct bombs, but we are suffering the indirect bomb. Bread. I told you in class. Now bread. I have 4 precious 4 children. If you add daddy and myself, we are 6. Tally. Mutobrudo. To send a media tight. You are buying bread. They remove the inside and leave the container there. When you can see the bread sitting on it. When you take to cut, inside is a hole. They've eaten all, the 4 of them. Bread, and now it's expensive. The thing is happening somewhere directly. I'm suffering directly. Maybe I'm not suffering bomb, but Charlie, oil, wheat for the bread, and etc. have become expensive. That is what King was addressing and saying that. So when you think the thing is about some people, so this thing is not your matter, like the clergy were criticizing King then. He says, whatever affects one directly over there can affect all of us, humanity, indirectly. You see that they are producing meat in the labs now. You think it's happening far away. Have you heard about the genetically modified ndondom? I don't want to say it in Brofo. Have you heard it? I want an answer. You haven't heard it? Genetically modified. Don't know. You created it from the lab. You God to help us. Oh. Okay, so it is as if it's far away somewhere. It is coming like a kite. 22 was that one. And 23, you see that by the time we finish, you have mobbed up, revised, you are doing revision along. Is Taylor an atomist? No, he's criticizing atomism. So the fact that his text is titled Atomism doesn't mean he is an atomist. He calls out atomism and critiques it, and we have seen that. Atomism affirms the insufficiency of man alone This is correct. Oh no, affirms, no. I hope you can see the trick now. I've tricked myself.
Yes.
If you can see, then we are good. Atomism doesn't affirm the insufficiency of man. It rather makes it look as if man is sufficient alone. Okay, that's correct. I nearly changed my scheme. Okay, that's 24. Then we go to 25. If you have a question, please respectfully unmute and ask it, because I'm on this
Some
window. So
questions are very tricky.
yes, they are tricky. Me could have tricked my own self. But you are writing an exam, so you should. Me, I'm not writing an exam. So if I don't read, it's okay. According to Dodo, the invention of Dodo property has paved way for Dodo. This is a direct quote from your slide. It's Rousseau. According to Rousseau, the invention of private property has paved way for social inequality. That is Rousseau. How many got it correct? Oh, some got, quite a lot of correct. But there are some wrongs all the same. Okay, which is okay. You're allowed to make 20 wrongs and still make an A. That's great. 26. Someone read for me now. So I'm coming to your window. Let me take water. So I'll call Abigail Affoldia. Please read. We're almost done. Everyone, psych yourself. 26.
26. In Rousseau's social contract, man loses his liberties and gains liberties in organized society, since liberties are more stable. A.
Very good.
Neutral.
Just read the correct answer for us. Right. Don't worry. Read the correct answer. So in Rousseau's social contract, man loses his
natural liberties and gains civil liberties in organized society, since his civil liberties are more stable.
Well done. Correct. I'm looking for the next question. So question 27. Yeah, please, that's question 27. So also fill in the gap. So fill in with the correct answers for the benefit of our special students who may be listening.
Yes, please. When thinking of the body politic as active, we describe it as sovereign, and a state, when thinking of it as passive. If compared to others like itself, then it is called a power.
Well done. This one there, if I didn't close the resource tool, the way people would totally here, they'll go and see it fast. So I closed it and there, see. See? Okay, so we can go on. I read very fast so that you won't see plenty. If you see it, it doesn't matter. It's a class setting. Just that, until read this one.
28. Charles Taylor is anti-individualism. True or false?
What do you think?
Yeah. Okay, so I think he's neither
None of them.
individualist or yes, please. So
very good. Well done. People will choose true. Some people will choose true because he argued against atomism as an extreme individualist position. Some will think that he's anti-individual. It's not true. He's advocating for equal recognition for the two extremes. That's what he's doing. So he wants a commensurate regard for belongingness, sense of, what's the other word? Obligation towards community, not just a demand for rights, which is equally important. So he's not anti-individualist. The defining mark of the state is the right to rule, which is authority. This is quotation, a quote directly from Wolf. The state's defining mark is to rule. So the state, if you make it legitimate, is supposed to have authority to rule. That's what state does. Your own home state can invade your own daughter or son. If you go and enjoy her without, the state will say, the state versus Asimis, your own property. If you are not careful, the state can collect from your own child. The state can, what is this thing called state? Remember my introduction with you. Because the state wields authority. That is why Wolf says there is no way that morally the state's authority can be legitimate. That's why he would have advocated for what? Philosophical anarchism, meaning that the legitimacy of what? Authority lies with the autonomous being, not with an entity. Because as soon as you make the state authority a legitimate one, it will immediately negate the individual's autonomy, which she cannot dispense with. She can't give away with her autonomy. If you do that, you have ceased being a human being in the right sense of it. Okay, that was 29. Come in, please. 30. I need to read the 30. Hey, I've not projected it. This is it.
30. The primary obligation of man is the refusal to be ruled, which is both of the above.
Sorry, there's someone here, so I'm multitasking. Let me mute my mic. Please go ahead. I'll project the next one to when you are done. Okay, so go ahead.
Yes. The primary obligation of man is the refusal to be ruled, which is both autonomy and self-legislation. Question 31. Wolf argues that the autonomous person does not obey the laws of the state simply because they are the laws. Question 32. The philosophical anarchist is not capricious. Question 33. According to Wolf, when I forfeit autonomy, I do not forfeit responsibility.
All right, thank you very much. I was projecting because I was also listening to someone. So I think they are all self-explanatory. This one, according to when I forfeit autonomy, I do not forfeit responsibility. I've elaborated on that to serve as a reminder for you. So we can go. Hey, sorry. Good luck. 34. Look at this. To each according to personal effort. So some people, when they hear to each according to this, so that one, no one we're doing communism, to each according to his need, from each according to his ability. So this is why it will be Karl Marx. Yeah. The answer should be B. Anna. To each according to personal effort. That's Karl Marx. And no, the answer said B says is denied. Is denied by hospice. Denial. Hey. It's not easy, so it's correct. Hospice doesn't deny personal effort. You see that? He affirms it. Marx will not accept personal effort. Don't give anyone something according to what personal effort. That's why the capitalists are against that. So the answer is none of the above. Let me see what people chose. This was really tricky. Yeah. Wow. It's tricky. Tricky because you have to look at it closely. Okay. 36, 35. Sister is sneezing all the way through. She's tired now. So let's take, thank you, Gertrude and Abigail. Now take some more time. If someone else wants to help us read, please raise your hand. We have some few to go, then we are done. Just keep your hand raised so that you can help make the class. Yeah, so this is it. Please read for us. Who's reading? Someone. Oh, I projected that. Please, who can see the part 1, question 35? You can see it now. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
at the original position, A, or please, should I just read the answer as
Yes, the
you have been
answer will
doing
be
it?
fine. Okay, then I'll comment on those that need commenting.
All right, Doc. At the original position,
All
men
of the
are
above.
free. Well, men
Yeah.
are rational.
Yes, this is roles. Original position is a language by roles. At that place, men are free, they are equal, they are rational. That's the assumption he makes. So if we all were at that position freely and equally thinking rationally to make a decision about which principles should guide our lives, we would arrive at his principles. That's the assumption he makes. We saw that last Friday. And we already critiqued that hey, Master, people are born slaves. People are not always rational. And even where they are rational, they don't always act rationally. They may be rational to be rational, and yet they are acting rationally. Johnny is slapping her left, right, center. He says, slap me again, I love you. Okay, he is slap. Irrational. Almost to the point of being deformed. She's still there. Yet she's a rational being. So people don't always act or choose rationally. Sometimes people bet. It's danger, risk. They take informed risk in the hope of beating the traffic. Okay, so they may not come to the principles you are assuming. And therefore, if they came to a certain principle, it may not necessarily be right, even if it emanated, excuse me, from rational beings. Good. Sir, please read this. We have 4 to go. Hold on, everyone.
Which of the following is an assumption made by Rawls, justice as fairness? Veil
Social
of ignorance.
attachment is not one of them. Social attachment is wrong. Irrationality is wrong. It's a veil of ignorance. We discussed that. At the original position, according to Rawls, human beings wearing a veil of ignorance will arrive at his principles of justice. So that is for that one. The 2 parts of Miles's personism are communality and individuality. It's a state of being. It's not community and the individual. Let's see. Hey, the people know the text. Where? Hey. Yeah, this one they did well. Did you see the greens? Oh, some reds are spoiling it. Oh, ish. These words are too many. Hey, atomism, you know. Miles is an atomism person. Remnant of Israel. I say in heaven, cried there was school. So no matter how perfect the situation is, you have 1 or 2. And God will give us grace. Right to life and dodo are basic to the libertarian. Right to life, right to property, right to autonomy, all of them. So that's why the answer is all of the above. 2 more. So Samuel, you do the last 2 and then I'll call it at use. Please read for me.
Okay, please, Doc. Socialism is to communism as capitalism, respectively, is to libertarianism.
Libertarian. Yes. I think that's a correct version of it. We shouldn't argue. I don't think there's any question on that. Then the last one for your IA is a rational person at the original position may not necessarily make a moral decision. This is Friday. This is a criticism against who? We all know it is against Rawls. It's Rawls that is talking original position and assuming rationality and all that. It's Rawls. He uses the phrase original position. We come into our possible answers. Rawls is not there. The answer is none of the above. And if you did that, brothers and sisters in the Lord, you should be so fine and good. I will grade your, I said I will grade, there's nothing to grade. I released this so you've seen your performance. I have your in-class thing. There's one more thing that I have to upload for main campus. And under city campus, you know your over 50 so far. Focus on the exam. And when we finish, you will know your raw scores over 100. Some of you after that, you don't even need any class, class plus 1 or class whatever, or any grading, shift moderation of results. You don't need that because you will already be here at your highest. Others, after everything is done, let me do my grading. I am grading, okay? Of course, we all have an objective reference point, so I'll do that and then you see. But for city campus, you know, at least for now, your raw score over 50. Prayer will go up for some. Okay, main campus, I have to do your communist manifesto, the group one. The in-class one is what I finished uploading yesterday. You will find your feedback in class. Some have come to pick theirs in my office here. They are on my table here. If you want to pick it, you can come and pick. I'll do that final one. Then we have your total over 50. Whatever you see recorded after I share, it is a 50% of that. So 20% IA for main campus now, your 10% group work, your 10% presentation, your 10% in class, the manifestos that we did in class. The reason why I kept giving more was that people came into school late. The university permitted that because of short vacation. And then all of a sudden, school is back on and people have to work and people have to sort themselves. So the posture of the university is to be a little bit more liberal towards such and not be extremely stringent. That is why you couldn't have used the initial one. So you will see that I'm picking on, I'm using the later assessments more. But it doesn't negate the earlier one. So social contract, if you couldn't do that essay, the group one, I will use your group work for the manifestos. That was as late as the 8th week, or I think 7th week or something, of a 10-week semester. You can't have an excuse if you didn't do that group work. See that? It can't be the lecture. It should be either the social contract, which was done with 2 or 3 or so, collected in the 4th week. That either that one or the manifesto essays for group. One of them will count. Then the presentation, you don't have any excuse. I will use it. So when I say the presentation, the king and Kutu for main campus, you use the social contract as your presentation. Okay, so maybe I'll alternate, but one group work, one presentation. The individual manifestos that we did in class, you can't have any excuse around it. It will be recorded. So the total plus what I'm going to do now should give you a 50. I'll communicate officially then. Okay, I'm done. Elijah, you have a question, but let me stop the recording. I'll take your question anyway. Ask your questions. That's Chamba. Go ahead.
Yeah. You said it in class that about the